Hello, podcast fans. Adam Carolla here. I'm leading the fight against patent trolls who are threatening this medium. It's not about me. It's about the podcast you're listening to right now. If I go down, this show could be next. So visit fundanything.com/patent troll for more information on how you can keep podcasting alive. Thank you and mahalo.
His skin is white just like a ghost, thick Irish roots and his blonde hair. And he sounds like a Chicago superfan. A music nerd with a collection of CDs from here to there. Yes, Andy Dare is in Chicago, interviewing and barbecuing. It's the Andy Dare Show. It's the Andy Dare Show.
Hello and welcome to the Andy Dare Show. I'm your host, Andy Dare, and today is episode 113. I'm joined by JoeReyes and Erik Sanden of the San Anotonio guitar duo Demitasse. And we discuss the making of their new album, Blue Medicine, which is out now. And we go through their history, go through their influences, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. They were really nice because, I actually taped a complete interview with Erik about 2.5 weeks ago, and the whole thing was lost due to technical difficulties. So, this one, thankfully it recorded. Thankfully it was great. Joe is also a real cool guy, so I was glad to have him on the episode as well. And, Blue Medicine is out now. Demitasse is actually half of the band Buttercup. And, they've been making noise for nearly a decade now. And, they decided to switch it up and go for a more acoustic, more melancholy sound on these new recordings. So, they made a new name, Demitasse, and it's really cool. I thought we'd play some music from them and chat about a whole bunch of cool stuff. And, just want to thank you guys for listening. What else is new in the world of Andy? Last week I got to meet Kim and Kelly Deal, and that was a big deal for me because I'd been a big fan for over 20 years now. And, they made it out to Reckless Records in Wicker Park, Chicago. The whole store was packed. They played a pared down set, about 6 or 7 songs. They even put down the classic Cannonball and Gigantic, another Pixies classic. So, it was a great time. She referred to Frank Black as Satan, and it was just cool. They were super nice. They, did a meet and greet for the big crowd that was there. I got my Breeders Pod album autographed, and it was really cool. It was a fun time. And you can read all about my day, my record store day, and record store day in general. I did a feature for EmptyLighthouse.com, which is a pretty new cultural online magazine that I've been writing for maybe 6 weeks now. So, check out my record store day wrap-up. I believe it's up on the front page at EmptyLighthouse.com. I want to thank those guys for including me and having me be a writer, and also for having Tyler Cale be a writer. Tyler is part of Dare Network, my little podcast network. He represents Hollywood, I represent Chicago, and Jay Porks represents Staten Island, New York City. We all cover something different. We all bring our separate, different flavor to the table, and that's why I think it works. If you want to check out all the programming at Dare Network, it's easy. Just go to theandydareshow.com. Type in Andy Dare on iTunes. All of our episodes will come up. It's just one feed right now. And, check out on Mondays, Jay Porks posts his episode. On Thursdays, Tyler Cale posts his episode. And I post every Saturday. So do check it out. It's been a blast. We've been doing that for about 6 months now. I've been doing this show for 3.5 years. Time flies, but it's all due to you guys supporting us, supporting our sponsors. That's why we are being able to continue to bring you cool content. Thanks to everybody who's clicked on our Amazon banner on the right-hand side of the page at theandydareshow.com. Takes you right to Amazon, and you spend 0 extra cents, 0 extra dollars, but you tip your cap to Dare Network and my show. So it means a lot to us 3.5 years into it that you are still clicking on it and you are still supporting us, and we'll keep bringing you awesome interviews. And so that's Dare Network. Follow it on Twitter, DERER Network at Twitter. And yes, I'm trying to think of anything else. Thanks to anybody who's supported patreon.com/AndyDare. Trying to get it so this will be my main gig. Trying to get it so I'll be able to make programming on a daily basis for you, the listener. So check it out, patreon.com/AndyDarer. All right, that about does it for my little spiel. Want to thank the listeners, the sponsors, and the guests. Today's guest, Demitasse. And without further ado, my episode 113. The half cup is half full with special guest Demitasse. Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Andy Darer Show. Today is episode 113. I am joined by the guys of Demitasse. How you doing?
Great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we got Eric and Joe from Demitasse, and they just released Blue Medicine, their brand new album. Was that last week, right?
Yes, sir. We released it on Tuesday, and it's been a fun ride leading up to it, and it's going to continue for a little while.
Nice. And the record store day was this past weekend. Did you guys partake in any of the festivities? Were you in San Antonio or?
We were in San Antonio on Record Store Day, and there's an old record store here called Hogwild Records that is famous for what was that song, Joe? That like
the Two Live Crew song. That's right. Yeah, the owner was arrested for selling it. That's correct.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy, Dave. Oh shoot, now I'm blanking on his name. But anyways, it's a venerated old music store of ours here in town.
So they could really put you behind bars for selling an album, huh?
Yeah.
This is this is the Reagan era, right?
Absolutely.
Nice. But yeah, we had a great day here in Chicago. I got to meet Kim and Kelly Deal, which was awesome.
Ooh.
Wow. Are they playing together again?
Yeah, they're back with the Breeders, and they just did a little pared down acoustic set at Reckless Records here in downtown Chicago, and it was awesome. It was so packed though. We had to hear the whole set without even seeing, a hair on their head. They were sitting down, and everybody's just piled in. The house is packed. They played Gigantic. They played Cannonball and a couple of new songs. And she even got a nice swipe at Frank Black, calling him Satan.
Nice. Perfect. That sounds like a great day.
Yeah, it was a great day because then afterwards we all got in line and got some stuff autographed. They couldn't be more nice. Had no idea how beautiful those twins are, too.
Oh, yeah. I could have told you that. They're very, oh, man. Yeah, and so talented, too, man. They sound great.
Yeah, and I asked them, is Steve Albini in the crowd? And they go, oh, no, him and his wife are in Hawaii. So I got a little scoop on that. But, it was a great day, and it just seemed like they were doing great business. The store was doing great business, and whoever thought of this idea maybe 5 years ago, it was a great idea because it seems like it's sparked a little bit of interest in vinyl, interest in supporting local stores, too.
Yeah, and we've been selling so much vinyl, compared to CDs, right? Just so far is how it's looking, and I didn't know that was going to happen. So that's exciting, and
it's a cool curveball that you wouldn't have seen 5 years ago. That vinyl sales would totally outdo CDs. Are you still pressing CDs?
Yes. And in fact, our vinyl record has a CD inside it instead of a download card, just to make it easy.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
And it's blue vinyl, correct?
It's blue vinyl, 180 gram with the lyric sheet in it. It's a beautiful artifact that people, I think, they take to that. They come to the show and they see that and they take it home. That's pretty exciting. And we're selling them at that Hogwild Records, and we'll get them up in Chicago. That record store, Reckless Records, what street is that on? Is that in
Well, it's cool because there's 3 locations. There's a Milwaukee Avenue location in Wicker Park. There is a Broadway location up in Lincoln Park, and then one right in the Loop.
The Wicker Park one is the one that I've been to, right? Or Lincoln Park maybe. There's a music store across the street that Heath runs. You're
thinking of the Wicker Park one, I believe. That's like the mothership. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great store.
And it's managed by Chris Connolly, who was part of the Revolting Cocks and Ministry way back in the day. And of course he was there, and I always like buying music from him, asking him if he's heard about this, heard about that. He's a super nice guy. So
that's great. I think every big town that we visit or tour through has a store like you're talking about, like one like we have or one like you guys have. And it's populated by just music lovers, like that's the way that this business actually started. People, I don't think people really knew how much money you could actually make from music until corporations got involved. But
it's true.
If you're in it for the love, man, it's such a great feeling to be around a bunch of, loving people that really appreciate music for what it is. It's great.
It's true. It's a good era. And like 10 years ago, you'd go to a Virgin Megastore and the clerk would know zero about music. And now at Reckless, it seems like they put them through a boot camp of, have you read Pitchfork this morning? You need to know about this release. You need to know what it sounds like. You need to know all this stuff.
Cool. Yeah, it's nice to see that it's back. It probably had to be sort of purged maybe at some point. Maybe that's what happened, when all those Tower Records closed, and it really did look like, man, nobody was going to be buying music anymore. It was being downloaded for free, or somebody could buy a single track on iTunes. But that's not the same experience as grabbing an LP, turning it around in your hands, looking at all the credits on the back, and yeah, it's the thing that we grew up with, so absolutely, I'm excited to see it back.
I couldn't agree more, and I'm more of the CD generation. I just turned 30, but I did the same thing with compact discs, read the liner notes.
Absolutely.
I was interested in all the packaging, all the cool stuff like that, and it's totally lost on the MP3 generation. You pay pretty much the same price. I mean, $10 on iTunes is not cheap for 10 audio files, and then you download it, and then it's something that could be totally lost when your laptop freezes.
Yeah, I mean, and you can get the the artwork as well, even lyric sheets and stuff, but it's not quite the same. Even if you printed them out and like kind of made your own package, that's not quite the same as just going to the store and picking it up. It's great.
Going to the store, starting a conversation with a stranger, something like that.
Absolutely,
it's good times. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's a more social event. Exactly.
So San Antonio, are you guys playing any shows like in the next week or two to promote Blue Medicine?
Yeah, we're heading up on Wednesday. We're going to Austin. We're playing a theater there. It's like a 70-seat theater. We're playing with a guy named Danny Malone. And so we're releasing the record in Austin, and I think that show will sell out. It's intimate, but it's going to be fantastic. And then on Friday, we're playing in Austin at a place called Central Track, which is
Dallas, yeah.
Dallas, yeah. Which is it's an art gallery that's linked to UT Dallas, and I also do performance art, and so this is a place that I performed before, and we're kind of bridging the gap there between, I guess, rock and folk music and art, performance art. So that's part of what we do, really. So
yeah, it was cool that we were talking on the Lost interview. If my listeners know, we lost about a 20-minute interview from last week. I want to thank the guys for being patient about that. But we discussed house gigging and the idea of taking the duo to a house, playing a little intimate gig in front of just a smallish group of people. And then the next night playing at a venue, and you already have kind of a built-in a local audience. Explain about that a little bit.
Well, we have some friends, this band, The Quiet Company, and I know that Pat from the Smithereens has been doing a series of house concerts. So there's a little network here in America of people that will invite friends and deep music lovers. They'll come to a house to see artists perform. We've done a series of them in San Antonio. We did some in Austin and Dallas, and they've been really, really, they're phenomenal. You sell a lot of records, and you have this great experience up close with people.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. They're kind of interesting. My grandfather actually used to play house concerts back in the 30s, 40s. It's pretty interesting. He played violin, and he would actually just grab his violin. He lived in a very rural community, but they would go to a house, push all the furniture to the walls, and then have a dance. Like, that's not actually too far from what we're doing now, which is you rearrange the furniture in someone's living room. You have two guys stand somewhere in there and start playing music. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely it's got roots in, the old almost like a traveling band or a traveling show like that.
Minstrel, type show. Right.
Yeah, and it's just a cool thing. I thought it was totally unique, and it's a great idea because you do have a little captive audience that they don't want to get up and go to a different room because that'll be mean to the band and mean to the guy who's throwing the party itself.
Sure.
So they kind of have to show you respect. They're right in front of you. And
Yeah.
then you go, hey, you want to buy the album? And
Absolutely. Well, it absolutely can kind of keep the expense down of playing in clubs, and club guarantees for solo artists that have never been great. So, David Bazan, Richard Buckner, there's a lot of people that's pretty much what they do now. They just play living room concerts. They don't really hit as many clubs as they used to because it's more profitable to play people's homes.
Mark Kozlik, is he a label mate or no, he's not a label mate. He's got the same like manager as you guys, right?
I believe so. You're talking from Sun Kill Moon, yeah.
Yeah. I think he would work in this same fashion because I mean I loved his new album Benji, Sun Kill Moon's new album, and
it sounds great.
yeah, it sounds great, and it's hardly has much drums to it, hardly has much production values. I think he could totally take that from town to town, but I don't know if he's his manager said he's kind of a recluse nowadays, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys have this house gigging thing, and then you play the venue the next day, and I just thought that was kind of an interesting way to go about it. So is this a thing that you do across the country, or is this in just select areas? Is this like a more in the South type deal?
Well, we're really our roots are here in Texas, but we have some places that we've gone out and played with our other band Buttercup, and we have some spots that we go to like Seattle. We've been to Chicago before. It's been a long time. We need to come back. I need to go to that rock and roll vintage guitar store and go to the record store. But I think right now, honestly, we're in a position where we're really sending out the tendrils for the first time with this new recording. So most people, I mean, that are listening to this will have no idea who we are. And so as two guys with acoustic guitars, we're the ideal opening act. We just did a show in San Antonio that had 2,400 people at this theater or more.
Wow.
It was sold out. It's the Majestic Theater. I think it's one of the oldest theaters in Texas. It's a fantastic place. I mean, I've always wanted to play there. We got up and did our thing. We were the opening act. It was a strange pairing. We played with Huey Lewis and the News. And their fans, I didn't know how they would take to what we do because we play pretty soft music. They're there for just pretty, less thoughtful kind of just rock and roll, have a good time. I mean, it's great. Actually, Huey Lewis and the News was really good. But they were, by the third song, they were pin drop quiet and they were listening. And I think we just managed to frame it correctly. We kept it short. We had pretty good and well scripted banter. We worked on this, and it was affirming to see like, we could do this. Sure. No one there knew who we were. I mean, there were probably 10 people that knew who we were at that gig. And we sold out all the records that we bought. Stage managers were thrilled with us. And the point is like, I think if we frame it right, we could do this anywhere. But we're looking to opportunities to open up. I think that's where we're ideally right now poised to do.
Yeah, that's like so cool because I think like growth is achieved when you're outside of your comfort zone, when you're playing Absolutely. To the crowd of Huey Lewis and the News or some more pop oriented band that you wouldn't think worked, but then you make some converts. So
yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
Is it cool if we play a track or?
Sure, yeah.
All right, how about Comfy Coffins? We'll be right back with Demitasse.
We slogged through as much as we could. I'd rather be dead than take another look. 2 years spent in a duct tape love, like drilling teeth with a nuclear sub. So in our comfy coffins, the hounds at bay. Are we so seldom strong anymore? Things were said, hugs exchanged, like peeling pain Spain his feet are rhythmically set. Those last few feet won't cover the debt. So here we lay in our comfy coffins, no hand to pay. Our hearts so seldom strong. What manner of failure is this? Without true love, we just exist. So here we lay in our comfy coffins, no hell to pay. Our wheels so soften. So here we lay in our comfy coffins, the hands obey. Our wheels so seldom strong anymore.
All right, we are back with Demitasse, Joe and Erik, and we were talking about playing outside of your comfort zone, and this is kind of an uncomfortable album, and it's it comes from a painful place. It sounds like it does, and your manager said it came from some personal turmoil. If you'd like to explain that to my listeners, either one of you.
Joe, you want to do it, or you want me to take this?
You take it.
Okay. Well, at the time, my father was ill. He was battling cancer, leukemia, when we recorded this, and Joe's father was also ill and battling Alzheimer's. And the record that we recorded was informed by, we were both worried, and we were both very involved in hospitals and healthcare and all this stuff. I was going back and forth to Boston, from San Antonio to Boston, flying constantly for almost 2 years. And during this time, Joe and I recorded this recording. He would have ideas, I would have ideas, and we did it very quickly with not much thought. It was what I call the Neil Young snapshot style of recording. And so, it was an emotional time for both of us, but it was also life-affirming because, it was a joy to not be in the hospital for a minute and to be with Joe and play music, which is something that we both just adore. And so I think there's an emotional substrate under the record. We got real. I think we got real because we didn't think that we were necessarily going to put this out. But I'm glad we did. I've been getting messages. The response has been tremendous. A lot of people are calling it emotionally devastating. I think we took a risk, but you know what? Who cares? I mean, if it's too much for somebody, they don't have to listen.
So at the time of recording this, was this like demos for Buttercup or just something to try?
These were songs that Erik had written that we hadn't actually brought to the band yet. And so in just an idea, just to kind of be sort of efficient, I said, why don't you just come by the house and you and I can just kind of track them real fast just so we can have a document. We were so, Erik was out of town a lot. I was pretty busy at the time as well. So it was just kind of a stopgap measure, really. At some point, they might have actually been brought to the band. But this is kind of where they ended up living. And so, I think the songs actually sort of maybe prospered from that approach. We definitely didn't comb over everything like very finely. Normally, if I produce something, I want to know where every note is. Sure. But there were absolutely a bunch of things that we just left. And Erik would call me or, contact me and say, man, I really want to fix this part. I'm like, that's the best part. Like, that's kind
nice.
That's kind of what this record is doing.
Yeah, right. Speaking of the Neil Young, it's kind of got an On the Beach feel to it, and Bruce Springsteen, like the Nebraska feel, the dark pared down kind of dismal landscapes of those albums kind of comes through on
it's
this.
definitely a raw record for even how pretty some parts are. It's just emotionally raw, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the band name itself means half a cup, correct?
Right. Which for Joe, it's half full. For me, it's half empty.
Nice.
It balances out. Yeah.
Yeah, and it says that the Beach Boys are an influence. It was a little bit more difficult to find a Beach Boys influence on this. Maybe like some of Brian's work when he was kind of slipping into that madness. No offense to you guys, but maybe like Till I Die.
Smile recordings, right? Yeah.
Some of those like psychedelic
Maybe.
stuff.
Well, the harmonically, like what the Beach Boys did, is pretty profound, and that's definitely a big good influence on both of us. Sonically, like kind of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then they did do a bit of that kind of crazy layering that everybody was kind of doing in the mid-'60s.
Sure.
But just the songs themselves are so beautiful. Yeah, we definitely want to take away the sound of harmony singing. I think if you look at the Beach Boys or the Beatles, the Hollies, any of those great bands, they're kind of harmony singing bands. Like that's a huge hallmark of each sound is several people singing at the same time, probably around one microphone. And that's what we did. We actually tracked these songs together in tandem, sort of where we would cut the vocals and the guitars first. If there was something else to layer, well, we would do it together. We would do claps or percussion or bass and drums or more guitars, but we would do them side by side. So there's this kind of energy to the recording that I really appreciate.
Yeah, it's the opposite of sending your buddy a file, having him put something on it, him sending it back.
I still do a lot of that work, but it's mostly like commercial work like that. Every once in a while, you can collaborate online with somebody, and you might get something out of that. But this is absolutely just he and I in a room together, just kind of banging the songs out. It was cool.
Well,
Yeah, I think that comes through for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in because what I find significant about that is it's less lonely. It is pretty lonely to be standing there with the headphones on by yourself in a room while there's 10 people in the other room watching you, and you're trying to get in this place where you're relaxed and you're interacting, but you're interacting with this recording that's static and fixed. Where when Joe sits down on the drums and I'm over on the piano and we're doing it at the same time and I can see him and we can make eye contact, it's a whole different thing. We're actually playing together. And so we were able to do this recording. I think it was largely because Joe was lazy and wanted to get it done fast. But it had this added benefit that it sounds like a live recording, because it really is. And we didn't use a click track. We played the main tracks live without headphones. So, it just shifted the whole thing. So it's what I would call serendipitous, but it's definitely less lonely.
Yeah, it comes through. It definitely comes through on the recordings. And as you said, harmonies were a lost art, a couple years ago, and they seem like they're coming back with new bands, with your stuff. And it was cool. Like I didn't ever have the respect I had for the harmonies until about 6 months ago. I went to see the Ides of March, which is Jim Peterick from Survivor, the guy who wrote Eye of the Tiger and all the Vehicle and all that, at a tiny little theater. It was an acoustic performance, and it's a 5-piece. Every single member had a monitor in his ear and a microphone, and they were all singing in perfect harmony. And I was just wowed. I said I couldn't see any young band pulling off 5-part harmonies, on the fly like that.
Yeah.
While playing, intense music at the same time. So,
Yeah, there's something about it. There's
it's like the Statler Brothers.
Yeah, the Statler Brothers, Oak Ridge Boys.
Even like R&B music, I'll have my friends say, Boys to Men suck. I go, you try pulling off those harmonies and then come back to me.
Yeah. A lot of that Velvet DeVoe stuff. Yeah, the New Jack stuff was kind of harmony based. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then pull that off while pulling off perfect dance moves, and then it's impossible. All right,
Yeah.
I do have a respect for that. Even if what's coming out is pop, drag and drivel, it's pretty impressive to layer those harmonies, and so that's part of the Beach Boys influence on one song, just like the Beach Boys did. So there's a little Beach Boys influence in there.
Absolutely.
Very cool. And one last thing I wanted to touch on. The Elliott Smith influence, and you guys were able to play with him at one point towards the end of his career, correct?
Yeah, I opened up for him on his last show, actually, that he played the Steamboat in Austin, which is pretty powerful thing. And that was my first exposure to Elliott Smith. That for some reason I had dismissed him. It was a bad presentation. A bad person presented a record to me, and I blew it off. And
an ex-girlfriend, be honest.
Well, no, actually, just a arrogant guy. He and I didn't give him a chance, and I didn't even listen to a whole song, and that was a sin of omission on my part. But then later, when I saw Elliott, I just was converted immediately. Became a huge fan, and Joe and I both at the same time fell in love with his music. And unfortunately, he didn't live much longer after that show. God, he was incredible. And so he's a lasting influence. And in fact, I think just last week, we were opening up the set that we were playing to open it to suggestions. And then Joe was the one who said, we should play this darkest Elliott Smith song we can. And it was really fun. Boy, it was beautiful.
Yeah, well, he's definitely one of these guys of my generation, I guess, of singer-songwriters who, you could absolutely tell they had these great kind of, 60s, 70s pop influences. I think when you listen to Elliott Smith, you absolutely get the Beatles, the Kinks, Dylan, but you also get ELO, Badfinger, a bunch of great 70s Chicago. There's a bunch of things kind of in his music that it's a dark, music, but there's something sort of beautiful harmonically about it. He definitely had this great gift for it. And then he would match it with lyrics that were sort of dark, but they're pretty. Melancholy is sort of a beautiful, sad thing. So for me, he absolutely came along at a time when I was just kind of getting my feet as a songwriter. And I have New Moon in the car right now. Yeah,
nice.
It's a great record.
Yeah, and Erik was saying that it was kind of it was tangible in the air, that you could feel like his time was fleeting just by the way he presented himself at the time, correct? Yeah.
To me, he looked like his posture was that of a question mark. He was hunched over, but it was also just like, I don't know, he was so afraid of the crowd. There were, probably 1,000 people in this theater, maybe a little bit less, but of kids, and they were just hanging on his words, but he was faltering, he was shaky, but then he just began to sing, and it was so moving, it was so powerful. But yeah, I had this feeling that, I just felt it. I said, he's not going to last this year, and it made me really sad and afraid for him. But that's actually what happened, and so that's a huge loss, and this is one of those cases where he really did have a lot more to offer, for sure. I mean, a lot of other people that left too early, like Hendrix, who knows if he had anything left to offer, but definitely Elliott Smith did, for sure. I mean, he was just hitting his stride with lyric writing. That last record is incredible. So I don't know, it was a shame, but he was awesome.
Certainly. Okay, is it cool if we play one more song and then we'll come back and wrap it all up?
Sure.
All right. We're going to play a track called Couples Therapy, Demitasse.
It's not that we're wasted, it's not that we're cold, it's not that we're speaking alone in our world. Yeah, I know, but now and then I can bend into something gentle, and I could better, yeah. Then
monster? I don't know. Oh, come on. Come on. Have you zero interest in trying to grow? I don't know. Come on. I don't know. But now and then I can bend into something gentle. I better, yeah. Darling, please come with me to therapy. I don't know.
All right, we are back with Erik and Joe from Demitasse. Just want to thank them for taking the time out. And so the new album is Blue Medicine. It's available at Bedlam Records, correct?
Yes.
And if they want to find out more, ReverbNation.com, Demitasse/Demitasse?
That's right, /Demitasse. That's correct.
Awesome. And we'll be looking forward to seeing the records in stores in Chicago. You said you're going to be trying to get those all over the country? Or?
Yeah,
absolutely.
we're select record stores like that store in Chicago.
Nice. Reckless Records. And and if you're not quite hip to the vinyl resurgence, are they going to be available on iTunes?
Yes, they're on iTunes, CD Baby, our website, bedlamrecords.org. We're tied to the Buttercup website, buttercult.com. So there's a bunch of places. You could probably just Google Demitasse, the band, or Demitasse Blue Medicine, and you'll find us.
Cool. And how about plans for the summer? What's up next for you guys?
So we're talking about we're working on a trip out to New York, a trip out to California, and then continuing to push things around here in the South.
Nice. And who do you got to win, the Spurs or the Mavericks?
Ha-ha! We won, Spurs. Man, it was a great comeback in the fourth.
Nice.
I was driving up to Austin to do some recording. I was just listening to it in the car. It was exciting.
Tim,
pretty much honking for nobody, on the road.
All right.
It was kind of awesome. But, yeah, I think the Spurs could take it. Got
Tim
one last good look at it. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Tim Duncan is proof that time is not linear. He's reversing the time.
This is true. He's a machine.
He is not human. That's true.
This is true. Thank you so much, Andy, for having us, man.
All right. Thanks for you guys. And this will be up this coming Saturday. Blue Medicine out now. Want to thank the guys in Demitasse. Any last words?
Nothing. We're just out there to fight sadness with sadness.
Correct. Go Spurs, go. That's my last word.
Awesome. On behalf of Joe and Erik from Demitasse, this is Andy Dare signing off for the Andy Dare Show. This episode of the Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue in Westmont, Illinois. Family owned and operated since 1997, Uncle Bub's is the real deal barbecue. A family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Also, it's a full-service catering company doing weddings, pig roasts, luau's, grill packages, you name it. They have a friendly, helpful staff that will make sure that your party goes off without a hitch. Call them at 630-493-9000. Visit them at 132 South Cass Avenue in Westmont, Illinois, and UncleBubs.com. Hey man, I know you like grilling. I know you like getting those dark grill marks on your burgers, fish, chicken. And I know you don't want to just dry your meat out like you're cooking with a hairdryer. Why not get the Man Grate and click through the AndyDareShow.com's banner so we can keep the lights on here at Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. The Man Grate. This episode of the Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Record Utopia, a music lover's dream with thousands of vinyl records, musical instruments, and sound gear. They buy, sell, and trade.
Give them a call at 630-963-1957. Visit them in Westmont, Illinois at 309 West Ogden Avenue, on the web at recordutopia.com. It's always a good, relaxed atmosphere. Check them out, Record Utopia. Be sure to follow Andy on Twitter. That's at Andy Darer. And like our show on Facebook. That's facebook.com/The Andy Darer Show. Videos at youtube.com/Andrew Martin Darer. And we're on iTunes. Just search The Andy Darer Show. Please leave a review. Thanks so much to our wonderful sponsors, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue, Record Utopia, The Man Great, and Amazon.com. Theme song courtesy of Rich Banks Music. Thank you so much for checking out The Andy Darer Show. TheAndyDareShow.com.